Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here to finally get around to making that healing skin cream for various skin issues, whether it be rashes, cuts, scrapes, burns, infections, even if fungal infections, depending on whatever it is you want to use it on. And I have a few different ideas of ways that you can blend this. I've been kind of still experimenting with my favorite blend. I'm going to try yet a new one today, but I'll talk about the other ones I have done. So some of it's going to depend on how much of your healing oil, this is the infused oil, so you want to start with this. This is I have a video recipe on this that I will link to in the description box down below. And remember to hit show more or that little gray arrow if you're on a smart device. And so this is infused with various herbs from my own garden, and then the choices of herbs that you use to do your infusion are also going to be up to you and what's available to you as well. So this is what you're going to want to start with. Lots of good healing herbs in this, and so this is going to be the base of what we want in there. So the ratio of your oil to these other things are going to depend on how much oil you really want in this. Now my goal was to have not only a very strong blend, because I put a lot of herbs in this and then let it infuse for a few months, and you can see it turned out pretty dark. This oil started off as clear that was added in here. I used an avocado oil, and all that color came from the herbs themselves. And then to make it into a cream, you can just use one of these items or all of the above and even add more to your own. Now when I make my homemade skin cream that I use on my face and pretty much everything else, hands and whatever else, I have the infused oil, the beeswax, the shea butter, and the coconut oil. So I'm not going to be using all that in this particular one because I want to make it I want as much of this oil going into this recipe as possible, since it's specifically for healing various skin issues. So with that in mind, I recommend going 3 parts to 1 part of your whatever it is you're going to use. Now in order for that to work best, beeswax pellets or beeswax, if you grate it or cut it up somehow, pellets are just the easiest ones to use. I will go ahead and link to the ones I have down below. So if you're doing that, you can go actually slightly less than 1 part of that to 3 parts of this. If you're wanting to use something like shea butter or mango butter, then I recommend going a 50-50, so a 1 part to 1 part. So I want to make a total of 16 ounces so I can fill 2 of these 8-ounce jars. So I want to start off with 12 ounces of my healing oil. So what I have here is I have a little saucepan, and then I have a digital scale. So you want to make sure you put your saucepan on your scale first, then turn it on. If you turned it on and then put it on there, just hit your power button again if you have this kind of scale to make sure you zero it out. You want to get it calibrated. I'm going to go ahead and pour in 12 ounces of my oil. And we'll just go ahead and pour this in there until I get up to 12 ounces, which should take pretty much all of this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do in this one, I've done it both ways, where I did a half and half with the mango butter and the oil, and then I made one where I did 3 parts of the oil to 1 part of the beeswax. But today I want to do a mix. So what I want of my beeswax in this is I want 2 ounces. Now you can just zero this out again, okay? Or you can just add. 12 plus 2 would be 14, but we'll just go ahead and zero that out and get 2 ounces. Just go carefully since I'm adding it directly to the oil. And then same thing with the mango butter. So what I want to do with this is I'm going to cut it and add it in little parts until I get, well, let's go ahead and zero it out. A lot of times I just keep adding it, but just to make it easy, we'll zero it out and just keep adding the little chunks. I like mango butter and the feel of it a lot better than shea butter. You know, it's a little creamier. You can actually use it straight. It has just a very nice texture. It's not quite as heavy as the shea butter. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is, even though it's a really nice day, we've had some pretty cold nights, so we still have a low fire going in the wood stove, so I'm going to set this right on there. Now, if it's that time of the year you have a wood stove and you have a good hot fire going, I recommend putting it on a trivet, something like what I have right here. I have this one's, these two here are just for decoration, but I have more very similar to these that I use when I want to cook something on my wood stove or heat something and I have a hot fire and I don't want it to get too hot, because you want to try to preserve all the goodness that's in those oils, so you don't want it to get too hot. So if you're doing this on a conventional stove, turn the heat all the way down to low, and then what you want to do is you want to heat this through and stir it constantly. That will help the beeswax and everything melt in together quicker, so you can take it off the heat sooner. So again, you don't want it to get too hot. You're just trying to melt everything together. So I will be back when this is all melted through. All right, it didn't take long for all my ingredients to melt together well. And so there's what it looks like right now. And what I'm going to do next is add some essential oils. This is totally optional, and the ones you use are entirely up to you. What I recommend is looking into each essential oil and what it's good for. I'm going to give you a few suggestions, and then I'll show you the blend I'm going to do here. So lavender is a really, really good option. Tea tree, oregano, make sure you don't use too much though, eucalyptus, and white thyme. So what I'm going to be using, the blend I'm finding I really like is the tea tree, eucalyptus, the white thyme, and then adding some lime to it. It just adds an extra, just a really nice scent. The four of these together are both very effective, but also have a nice clean smell to them that should appeal to most people. So I'm going to put up to a whole capful in my total of 16 ounces that I have going on here of each of the oils. So you can see obviously the caps for the tea tree and the eucalyptus are bigger, so I'm putting a little bit more of those in. One capful of the thyme, and then one of the lime. Citrus oils are also very good for your skin too, but again, as I've said in the past, one has to be careful if it's something you're going to put on your skin where you're going out in the sun and you're very fair. You may want to skip the citrus oils. It's not been an issue with me. And a lot of times the different oils and things that you're mixing it in with are already have an SPF in them. And I have a video on natural sun protection that I did a couple years ago, I think it's been now, and I'll go ahead and link to that in the description box down below. Now, a couple options for containers would be some stainless steel tins. I use those when I'm for the skin cream that I make and sell. I like the tins because they're lighter weight and I don't have to worry about them breaking, so they're easier to ship. But for around here, I just like to use these 8-ounce mason jars like this. They work very good for this kind of thing. And so we'll just go ahead and want to make sure that your jars are not too cold or you might break them. So we'll go if the oil's too hot. Of course, we're trying to not let it get too hot either. Okay, and so then what I'm going to let that do is I'm going to let that set up, show you what it looks like when it's all set. All right, well, my healing cream is all set up and ready to go. As you can see, it's not pouring out anymore. It's set up nice, and yet it's still very soft. And then what I like to do is put one of these so-called leak-proof lids. They do leak a little bit when you're talking about pure liquid, but they are still more airtight than the cheap white ones. I like these ones much better. I'd recommend, they're pretty expensive to find on Amazon usually, so I recommend looking for them locally. But anyway, instead of messing those up right now, because they just look so nice, I'll show you. This is the one where I topped it off so you can see the difference. And I did take a fork and kind of mix it up a little bit just to soften it. And you can see right here, it's very creamy. It's got a nice texture and very easy to use, very easy to spread on any spots. Like here's that scratch, it's almost gone now, where that gooseberry that I was moving, it had put a pretty good scratch on my arm because they have some nice thorns. So I've been using this on that scratch and the other scratches I got from it and just been healing it up really nice. And so consider the different essential oils I talked about. You're going to want to tailor that to suit you. Consider your allergies or your family's allergies, what you want to tailor the skin cream for, or the healing cream. I want mine to be a general all-purpose. But if it's something you're wanting to use specifically for a fungal infection, I would recommend adding a little bit of the oregano oil. Now, I did in my original batch that I showed you here, I did actually add some oregano oil in that one as well. And even though I used it right on this, when it was, the scratch was fresh, it didn't hurt it at all. But because oregano oil is very hot, you do have to be careful with that. So what I recommend you do before you decide on what oils you want to use, look into each one, find out what they're best for, even do a search specifically on, let's say you're looking for something that's good for eczema. Look at all the different oils that are good for that. And same thing will apply for the herbs that you choose to use in the infused oil from the beginning. But don't forget to check out my recipe video on that I will link down below, so you can see the different herbs that I used and the ratio of each herb that I put into the blend. And again, you can even just do one of those herbs. Let's say all you've got is some plantain, because most people have it growing wild somewhere, then that is a really great option. Plantain is excellent. So is calendula and dandelion and yarrow and comfrey. So many great herbs out there, and I could go on and on. There's a lot of good ones. Marshmallow, pansy, rose petals, lavender. Again, check out that video, and also check out my other video I have on another infused oil that I use specifically for the skin cream that I like to use mostly on my face, and I will also link to that one down below. And then if you want, you can also check out the videos on how to make your own skin cream that you can use for just whatever. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and that if you give this a try, this is something that will work good for you and for your family. It will save you a little bit of money in the long run, and it will also be a lot healthier for you than most of the stuff that you can buy in the store. Okay, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.